In Psych 101, I decided to do the project A Class Divided. It was an experiment created by Jane Elliott. Pretty much what she did was she took a bunch of third graders and divided them by eye color, blue and brown, and one day she treated the brown-eyed kids bad and the blue-eyed kids good, and then one day she treated them the opposite way. And both days, the kids that were being treated superior had a better chance of performing, and the kids that were treating inferior had more chance of rebelling. So the reason she did this was because Martin Luther King Jr. was murdered April 1968, the day she made the experience. So she wanted to teach them a lesson of discrimination. The eye color, it says here, on both days, children who were designated as inferior took on a look and behavior of genuinely inferior students, meaning they were taught that they were above other people, so they believed that they were above the other people. In contrast, those who were inferior became mean-spirited and seemed to understand that they were being discriminated against. So it hurt them that they were being discriminated against, even though they knew it was an experiment. She repeated the exercise with many other classes to follow. In 1970, cameras were presented, and it created a TV show called A Class Divided. Then later on, many years later, she talked to her students about how the experiment impacted them. Some of the quotes were, "Nobody likes to be looked down upon, nobody likes to be hated, teased, or discriminated against." Another one, "You hear these people talking about different people and how they'd like to have them out of the country, and sometimes I just wish I had that collar in my pocket. I could whip it out and put it on and say, wear this and put yourself in their place. I wish they go through what I went through, so you know." Then many years later, she ended up taking her experiment to a prison system in Iowa. During a day-long workshop, she did the exact same thing with adults and had the exact same results. So that kind of shows that it doesn't matter if you're a kid or not. When you feel discriminated against or when you're taught that you're above other people, you genuinely believe it. Jane Elliott went on Oprah because she became an expert on the issue of discrimination and talked about all of her different tries she had with this. At the end, what you take away from all this is discrimination and prejudice is an idea built in people's minds, creating actual barriers that are hard to overcome. As in, when someone tells you you are better than someone else, your whole life, you believe it. That's why white people seem to believe that they are better than African Americans or people of color. In the real world, we look at this type of situation as the effects of rich versus impoverished environments. There is still today clearly discrimination against minorities, despite all being equal. When we think about qualities, some might consider those of a typical African American: baggy clothes, crude, rude behavior, and language. We can't seem to keep in mind how automatically we are associating the color of a person's skin with these qualities. We see the rebellious behavior as evidence, like when the blue-eyed adults argued with Elliott when being attacked for their behavior. This was evidence that the individuals are rude. Instead, a better way of looking at both of these situations is looking at the circumstances, environment that is placed upon the discriminated individuals. So pretty much, it's just saying that discrimination is taught, and that's how it applies to us today.